Sarah Connor has her Remington 870 all loaded up and ready to go and was ready to fight in against the AI insurrection. Are you ready to go? Let's talk about it right now.
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Well, I
Are
don't know
you
if it's really
ready?
going to be an insurrection, but if that doesn't get somebody's attention, there's been a lot of that. We can talk about a lot of stuff, a lot of AI stuff.
Yeah.
But I do have to make a couple of things. First of all, I am Lionel, because I'm going to remember this time. Not Lyle, Lionel. I think I mispronounced my own damn name. Uh, from Toronto, Canada. And
And I am Robert from Nashville, Tennessee, US of A.
yes, and
So first, before
like
we get
much of
started,
North
because
America, yeah.
we need to, yes, like, subscribe, but we have to apologize. We had some technical difficulties last week. We actually did the entire episode. I went to export it, and it was all of like 5 seconds. I don't know what happened because it showed recording the entire hour. So we apologize, but there was no podcast because, well, technology sucks sometimes.
If
So,
only we'd had AI.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
but um, I forgot what I was going to say now because I got a little thrown off by that.
Well,
Yeah,
one
last
thing I want
last week sucked a
to,
bit.
yeah, it did. But one thing I do want to bring up one thing from last week. I know we have some other topics we're going to discuss, but I think this is kind of important because it plays into our main topic, and that is
I'll
the
tease it then because we're not going there
XAI's
yet.
the XAI's Grok 4 launch, power packed but glitchy. Remember we talked about that and how they actually had to roll some stuff back because it started doing things and saying things it shouldn't have been doing and saying, including referring to itself as Mecha Hitler, which is horrendous. Like, that shouldn't, Elon Musk, that should have never come out of Grok's mouth, like,
Yeah,
ever.
yeah. Listen,
Okay.
listen. Disclaimer: I do want to say I've never actually heard any of that. And when I say heard it, I mean when using Grok myself. In fact, I've actually tested it after you brought this up to me, and it is basically lambasted me for even saying anything that might suggest that it might be off.
Well, yeah, because they turned it off.
They
They brought it
updated it.
back.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, like
exactly.
immediately, like as they should
Yeah.
have, because that's like that's yeah,
Well, yeah, it obviously never should have done that. But the scary part about it is, and this is where, as you say, that this could be leading into a slippery slope, a road that might actually have the Sarah Connors of the world going into their cellars to get their stuff ready. Uh, and that's that it learned to say something it wasn't programmed to say,
right.
and it had to be told, no, that's like a child. But we'll get to that. We'll
Yeah.
get to
So
that.
it's, I'm glad that they
Yeah,
reversed direction and changed
yeah,
it, but come on, Musk,
yeah, yeah. Okay,
Grok,
let's
X,
move on for now. We'll get into
you
that.
can
We'll
do
get
better.
into that.
You can do better.
Um, I mentioned Facer last week. Nobody knows. Yeah, you can't even see that. You still can't see it. Oh, right, because when I turn my wrist the other way, it turns off. Yeah, I have no way of showing it to you now. Um, Facer was updated, so now the oh my goodness, I forgot what they call it now. Where no watch face format. That's what it's called. The watch face format, which is what you see on all the newer Galaxy watches going forward. The new Galaxy Watch 8 is watch face format only. It is not compatible with the former. The last watch compatible with the former out of the box and watch face format out of the box is actually the Pixel Watch 2. Pixel Watch 3 also, but at the same time, it doesn't work very well at all with the former. Facer was updated last week. I think it had actually even been taken off the market for a little bit while they removed a lot of stuff that wasn't going to work with a lot of new watches. So they still have both formats as well as Tizen format or Tizen, however you pronounce it. Um, but the bottom line is that some of these watch faces are really nice. I decided to go for it because they gave me like, well, I guess they do that to anybody that either hasn't used it before or has been gone for a very long time. An incredible deal. It was very little money. I think it was under $10 for the entire year or something like, or maybe just over. And I thought, well, okay, like 300,000 watch faces to choose from, and probably 100,000 of them. 100,000 of them are already. Well, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to like that many of them, but I'm really impressed with how nicely they work, how smoothly they work. The animations and the animated ones are absolutely fantastic. And I've been satisfied for the most part with the watch faces on the Pixel Watch, but still jealous that Samsung has way, 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 way more watch faces natively within their application. And you can attest to that because you've owned both.
Yeah, there's a ton. So battery, like, what is it affected battery life at all?
I haven't noticed. To be honest with you, I think it might be better. Um, I haven't had to charge my watch but twice in the last 4 days. So, and only once did I actually have to charge it. Um, I often, wear it all night, wear it all day, and then I get up in the morning. I'm like, wait a minute, I think I might have to charge this. What? It's still at 15%. I thought it would have died at night. No, uh, I'm not sure why. I'm using watch faces that have these animations that are going. Well, they're not going all the time, obviously, only if I turn my wrist. But I think what it is it's using less power. The watch face format uses less. It's more efficient, and I think that maybe it made it more efficient also when I have my wrist turned down and you can't see it. Like it's there. You're not going to see it on the camera, barely, if I turn it that way, right? It's not doing anything. It's just so I can quickly glance at the time without having to flick my wrist over and get all the animations going. But it's pretty cool. Um, so I like it. I wanted to bring that up because there's probably a lot of people out there that are like, I wish I could get more watch faces, and now I got this watch, and it's not going to work with that. It will. If you get a Galaxy Watch 8, it's already working with that. So you got a ton of Galaxy Watch faces to choose from. Now you can go to Facer. I'm assuming Watchmaker will follow suit soon enough. But Facer is working pretty good for that. So you have plenty of choice for very little money or none.
Well,
So,
ironically, I remember I telling you I was I felt like my battery life, well, my wife mentioned it too, had really gone downhill after one of the updates.
right.
And ironically, one of the Google updates broke Messenger on my wife's phone. And the only way
Ouch.
I could, excuse me, the only way I could fix it was to clear the data and uninstall and reinstall the Google Play services service that runs, and
Right.
that fixed it. But what I didn't know that would do is it unpairs your watch. It kills the watch connection
Oh,
because
it
it uses
does.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't know
But
that.
but yeah, the interesting thing though is, and I guess this hasn't happened for the Galaxy Watch, but for the Pixel Watch, as of Pixel Watch 2, or at least this version of Wear OS that is, with the Pixel Watch, it doesn't even matter if it unpairs, because everything's transferable and backed up now. In the previous version, it was not. So if that happens to me now, I'm not having to redo everything. I can literally just install my watch from backup.
Oh yeah, so that's what we did with hers. So
Okay.
unfortunately, the only way you repair it is you basically have to reset the watch and reset it back up. But I always turn on. I mean, with Samsung, I've been able to have the backup for the last two watches, and
Yeah.
so she had a backup. So I was like, whatever. I let it reset it, restored the backup. Everything's back to normal. Now the battery life is like it used to be. She comes home, instead of being at like 5 or 10%, she's at 40%. So I guess whatever update they pushed
Yeah.
out to the watch just needed to have a reset, and it fixed it. So I ended up resetting mine, And I thought, oh, okay, because mine shows to be backed up too. And I reset mine. By the way, the battery issue again is like it used to be. I come home like today, I wore it all night, wore it all day, came home, 40%. So
Right.
battery life, and whereas like it has been getting down to like 5-10%. So definitely there was something stuck in there, but the only problem is for whatever reason my backup was corrupt. I couldn't restore my backup.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
Yeah, that
not a
would
big
be
deal to
different.
me.
So
It'd have
so
been a bigger deal
basically
for
you're
her,
getting
but
yeah, so basically you're getting the same thing. So that pretty much confirms it. Some recent Wear OS update has completely changed battery life for us with the not any more current watches. Yes, I did
yeah.
this. Because as far as I'm concerned, a watch is not like a phone. You and I both know we for years have been get a phone every year, except you wisely skipped that one year. Um, but nonetheless, you're used to getting a new phone all the time. A watch, I feel like, unless there's a massive deal difference, keep your watch for at least 2, 3 years.
Yeah.
Um, because it's different. It's a timepiece. And if you get a new one, I mean, yeah, I did get one, 2 years in a row, but that was because the Pixel Watch 1 looked cool. It wasn't that good. The Pixel Watch 2 was head and shoulders better. The Watch 3 is better than the Pixel Watch 2, but it wasn't big enough leap to make me want to go jump at it. The 4, on the other hand, I'm really looking forward to getting because it's the first one that people might actually put on their wrist and go, this might be almost as good as a Galaxy Watch. And quite frankly, if a Galaxy Watch could be used with a Pixel phone, 100% everything on the watch could be used with a Pixel phone, I would pick the Galaxy Watch. And I'm a Pixel fanboy. That's saying a lot. So Google needs to step that up. But segue into one other thing about the watches, mine, yours, and a lot of other people's, which will also let us segue into our main topic as well. How are you enjoying or not enjoying Gemini on your watch?
Have I don't use it super in depth. The few little times I have used it's worked great. I haven't had any issues with it at all. Ironically, I had to like it wouldn't reinstall right off the bat when I you know, formatted the
Yeah,
watch and brought it back up, but I did get it back on there. So, yeah, I mean it's worked great. I haven't had any issues at all.
I find that even if I don't use it for anything else, but that one thing that I need the most, I come home, I got stuff in my hands. My room's downstairs. It's dark, lights are out, and I could shout, turn on this and turn on that. But the first one that hears me is that stupid little puck thing that is still using Assistant, and it screws crap up probably 30% of the time still, which is not bad compared to the 90% as little as 2 weeks ago. So I don't know what they did. It's a little bit better, but it's still not great. I don't like its robotic voice. I used to think it sounded cool, but I mean, we've moved ahead. And we'll get into that, by the way, because we're starting to get closer and closer to that main topic. But I basically just hold down my watch. Now, I could set this to actually answer, but no matter how good it is on here, that stupid puck thing is going to hear first. If it hears, it automatically always answers first. They do have some setting where it's supposed to, you know, uh, uh, answer like, but that's never worked. And you know that better than I do,
Yeah.
since you've had like 900 Google, you know what I'm saying, 900 things in your home. And yeah, I mean, hey, listen, there's things that they could do better. I'll just quick changeover. I'm going off the topic a little bit, but I've for the viewers, I've phoned Robert, or not, sorry, not phoned, used well, it's Meet Now, whatever it was called in the past. And he's actually said, please don't do that. Text me and warn me ahead of time, and I'll call you. And the reason why is because every single one would answer in his or ring in his house.
Yes. Every single one of them.
All of them. the phones, the tablets, it's each
Yeah.
one of those little units in every room and everything. And so if you got a lot of them, which is convenient to have, that's a pain in the butt. Why can't you tell it, like with all the stuff? But I suspect that that's something that they could work on, because it would be great to have, using AI, always knowing what room are you in right now. And if there's two or three of you, what room are each of you in? So maybe it rings in those three rooms.
Yeah, but how
Or,
does it know? How does it know who it wants to talk to?
though they don't. That's why I said maybe it would ring in three rooms if there were three people in three
Yeah,
different
because
rooms.
like
But if you have one
I,
in every room, you don't want every room ringing, Like,
no,
for
but
instance, let's say you're up playing, playing some COD or Battlefield. We'll get into that in a minute too. And your wife's like, got to get up in the morning and go to work. So she's in the bedroom asleep, and somebody decides to ring a ding ding you through Google Meet, and she's jarred awake by that weird ringtone that Meet has. I don't even know what it sounds like, but it's weird. And it's loud and it's annoying. And if you're sleeping, that's jarring. And so it's stupid. But if because you have your phone with you in proximity to your watch, then it should automatically deduce that the closest apparatus, whether it be the phone or one of them stupid puck like units or whatever you have, tablet, whatever, and it rings that, but not every room in your house, not the one where your wife is sleeping.
yeah,
That's my opinion. I don't see why that's so damn difficult. I mean, you're geofencing it locally. That's something that's been around for decades.
yeah.
So
But the thing is like the account for all of our home devices is signed in with my email, and yeah,
sure,
she is shared. I have her shared on the home, but like when the kids call, they always just call and it rings my email address. So, but they're calling for her sometimes, not for me. So even though it's calling in on my
but
email
you live in
address,
the
it
same
doesn't
house. You could
know.
still you could just say that, and also why can't they just do it so you can just quickly transfer from one device to the other?
Well, the transfer thing, I think, would be super handy.
It's been Apple's been doing it for years.
Yeah,
You can
that
transfer
would be
face.
super handy.
Yeah, it just makes no sense to me that you can't. Um, Whether it's voice or video, it should be transferable. I think you can transfer. No, you can't. Or can you? No, you can
I've never,
transfer.
I don't think so.
You
I've
know,
never seen the option to,
yeah.
but I
I think
haven't
there's been
looked.
mention of them wanting to do that, and of course, somebody at Google probably said that's not a priority, so put it on the back burner. People want it, so why? Let's not do it. Let's do what they don't want instead.
Yeah, I haven't looked to see if there's any options at this point. It's been a while since I've looked at it. I mean, we get calls all the time because we chat with the grandkids up north, but
Right.
um, yeah, I
And
haven't.
by the way, if anybody in Canada, when he says up north, he means way down south.
No, I'm talking about
Not
West
way
Canada.
down south by American standards, but south of us. Up north, down south. But then again, I don't know. I mean, it depends. If you're talking about northern Michigan, then that's north of me too.
It's
Not all
Wisconsin.
of Canada is north of the United States. I live well south of a lot of places in the US, in Canada. So there you go.
Geographics.
That's right. Geo
So,
graphics.
anyways, yeah, that's a nice little side rant there.
Oh yeah, of course.
So, which one of your main topics you want to get into first?
Well, I think everything else we're talking. Oh wait, no, you're right. Yes. You know what? Let's bring this up real quick, because uh, the first weekend of the open beta for look, I keep saying and a lot here. If this was network TV, I'd have a no job tomorrow. Anyways, Battlefield 6 open beta first weekend last week. Both of us were actually invited to uh, the early access for it. So I personally got an extra couple of days out of it. but then there was the 2 days on the weekend. The second one is coming up. There's going to be some new changes, but let's first talk about how did you think of it in comparison to the previous Battlefield? Don't compare it to COD yet. We'll get there. But compared to 2042, what did you think of it? The graphics? What did you think of the what do you call it? The game, like the maneuverability, like how your character moves,
Yeah,
and
well,
the gunplay.
so all around it's improved. I mean, the graphics I think are a lot better. I mean, I thought 2042 had some pretty good graphics. So I'm not gonna say way better, but there's definitely an improvement. There's much more detail in vehicles and grass and buildings and all that. And that
Right.
brings me to buildings, is that there's a lot more destruction capability with buildings and vehicles and things like that.
Yes.
So I like that aspect of it, because you could literally like crush yourself if you accidentally throw a grenade off in a building and you collapse the building in on yourself. So it adds a
Yeah.
whole new dimension to that, which is kind of cool.
Right. And the gunplay.
Yeah, it's good, but one thing that I felt, and it was confirmed by some of the things I was reading over this last week, is the
Yeah.
TTK was way, way, way off.
Way
Like,
too fast.
yeah, and that you're
Time to
getting
kill, if
some,
anybody's wondering what he's talking about.
yeah, you're getting some body shots that are one or two shot kills that shouldn't have been. Um,
Yeah.
I still don't. And you and I both, I still don't understand the whole sniper aspect of it, because I can't hit a damn thing with a sniper rifle. But
Well,
yeah, people are picking me
here's
off
the other
like
thing too.
crazy.
Yeah, there's another thing about that too that came up. As it turns out, and there's a lot of people that are complaining about this. A lot of times where I thought maybe we were getting hit by some cheaters, and I do believe that we did a few times. But a lot of that turns out it probably wasn't. And one of the issues, and this is part of the whole time to kill thing too, although a little bit of an offshoot of it, is apparently people were complaining that they were basically getting downed and they couldn't figure out how it happened. And it happened to me many times. And as it turns out, some of the people were saying that it appears what was happening was um, that you were being hit, but it wasn't registering. So when you suddenly dropped, you did not realize that you had been hit 14 times instead of once. Well, maybe not 14, but 5 or 6, or even 3 instead of once. So even when it's not a sniper rifle, I was complaining that there were guys that were shooting me with SMGs from 150 yards away. They were only connecting one shot, and I was dropping like a bad habit. So that kind of tells me that that's probably a lot of what the issue was. But again, this is a beta, and this is the first beta. They've already acknowledged a lot of these things, so I know they're going to work on it.
Well,
Um,
that's the point of a
and I
beta.
do want
So
to
I'm
mention,
not even mad about it.
yeah,
That's the point of a
no,
beta.
no, no, of course not. It's a beta, and there's still another beta, and it's not out for 3 months, so or
Right.
2.5, whatever it is. Actually, probably close to 3. Um, so they got a lot of work they're going to do on it, and that may be the first and second open beta, but that doesn't mean they're not going to do a third open beta. They probably are going to do a third open beta. They're just not announcing it yet. They're most likely going to do a last minute tweak and make sure they get more hype again, right? Get some more pre-sales and all that. But in regards to the graphics, I think one of the reasons that it looks better, and by the way, we both play on PS5, so I cannot speak for what it looks like on a computer. Comment below and let us know if you play on a PC. How does it look for you? If you play on an Xbox, how does it look for you? But here's what I notice on PC playing on performance mode, because I get higher frame rates on performance mode, of course. But the bottom line is it looks just as good, which is crazy, but it does. But when I scoped in, standing on the ground, I scoped in with my sniper scope, and what I noticed was that they are huge polygons in comparison to the previous game. So they make it so that everything looks sharp, detailed, and way better and renders much faster. But if you scope in, that's where you can see why it does that. Because if it were a slower game and it wasn't like a multiplayer game, they would have just made everything smaller, right? and you'd have the detail looking up close. You will not notice that without actually taking your scope and scoping into the ground right at your feet. You'll never notice it because it looks extremely photorealistic. Um, and I don't know, it's one of the best looking games I've ever seen. And you're right about the destruction. Uh, I thought Battlefield 2042 was good, but that's because I was only comparing it to Call of Duty, which has no real world destruction whatsoever. Um, so I thought it was great for that. But it was always only one corner of maybe one building in the entire map that would come apart, maybe two buildings, maybe a few walls. That's about it. In Battlefield 6, almost everything is to some degree destructive.
Yeah.
Most buildings are not the entire building. It's usually the same section of the building that will come down, but it won't automatically come down in 2 or 3 chunks. Sometimes it takes a huge effort to get the walls to collapse. But the other thing they did is they don't just automatically just fall to the ground and then there's dust and then it's done. If you're inside the building, you can hear it coming down. And since at this point in time, many people know what it sounds like because we've all seen videos of things collapsing, they did such an amazing job. The sound from inside the building is creepy as hell and it scares the hell out of you and makes you want to get out as fast as possible, just like real life would be. From outside the building, it just sounds like a lot of rubble falling down, like it would. From inside, there's echoes and creaking sounds and whines, and you can hear the top floor collapsing first, if that's what's going first. If a tank shoots the bottom floor, you don't really hear much of anything because the whole thing just comes down. But
Well, and the
yeah,
jets
it's
flying
pretty
over
amazing.
is insane. I mean,
Oh
it's
god, they
like,
sound like real jets.
you want to duck, like, oh shit.
Yeah, it sounds real.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been to an air show, it
Yeah.
sounds real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been around a lot of jets when I live in California because I was right next to the um,
Well, okay, for the people listening, he's pausing while he's trying to remember something.
no, chatbot started responding and I couldn't hear myself. But anyways, I live next to a military base and I used to watch the F-15s and F-18s and
Yeah.
A4s and all that flying overhead and coming off
Oh
and
god, those
landing.
F-18s are so loud.
Oh man, it was awesome. Yeah.
They're louder
But
than
yeah,
the
it's
15s.
it's
I don't
just
care
one
what
thing I
whatever.
almost forgot to mention. I read an article today about the Battlefield 6 in the sniper, and they're bringing this feature back that apparently was in one of the really early battlefields, where they're allowing a single shot kill to the torso. So if it hits in the chest
Like it
area,
should be because it's a sniper rifle.
right? But it's not
And
ever been like that. I mean, well, in
yeah,
the
I
pre
know,
in
but
the in the in the most
I was
recent,
saying this. I was saying this not long ago too. Is this always should have been a thing in reality? Because if you talk to any sniper in the world and ask them how many headshots do you go for, they're going to tell you none, unless the head is the only thing visible, because it's a much smaller target. And if you're shooting from a half a mile away, or 2 miles away, why would you shoot at the thing that you can't even see through a scope versus the entire torso? It makes no sense. And I guarantee you, anything moving that fast, even from that far away, when it's lost velocity, is still a kill shot because they're sniper rifles. That's what they're for. So I agree with it. That they should have put that in a long time ago.
yeah. Well, any of you snipers watching, comment on what you think. Like, do you think it should have a single shot to torso, or do you aim for the head, or do you aim for the torso? What do you aim
Yeah.
for as
Also,
a sniper?
if you're a legitimate sniper with any armed forces, American armed forces, Canadian armed forces, British armed forces, whatever, let us know. Should they put a TAC 50 in the game? Sorry. Uh, that's the Ghost
So
Recon Breakpoint talking.
yes,
Anyways,
yeah, that's like a staple for him.
it absolutely is. But we won't go there right now. No, no.
But
So
yeah,
Battlefield
I think it's
6,
pretty good. I think it's they've done a pretty good job. I know, again, a lot of people
yeah,
are bitching, but again, people, it's a beta,
yeah,
and I think
Weekend
it's
2
just
coming
good
up very
for
soon.
yeah, I think it's good for gaming all the way around because it's gonna, I think, put Activision and Treyarch kind of on their heels, like, oh shit, we need to get off our asses and make a better game. So
Yeah,
I think that's a
when does the
benefit.
second weekend sorry, beta weekend for Battlefield 6 begin? I got to ask because I forgot. Tomorrow. It's 3 days.
Oh, well, there you go.
So get back into it again tomorrow.
There you have it.
Woohoo! And we get 2 new maps from what I understand in the second weekend.
That's what I
And
read.
there
Yep.
is another article that came out. I think one of the devs had said, yes, there are bigger maps and there is going to be all out war. So I'm looking forward to it because they don't use a gulag system. Thank you very much for that. There will be, however, a situation similar but different where your teammates will be able to uh, uh, somehow get you to spawn back or something like that. Also, there's other opportunities where you can like control drones or something like that
Oh, that'd be
if
cool.
you've died. So it wouldn't bother me as much as if I didn't make it through the entire match. But I was able to say, okay, well, I can be a drone. Tell me where you're headed, and I'll clear a path for you. that's that's kind of interesting. I look forward to that because I've always liked the idea of Warzone, but I've always hated the fact that because I suck, 5 minutes into this 35-minute match, I'm already dead and in the gulag, and I'm killed by some guy who doesn't even know how to play. That's how bad I am at it. And I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna try to tell you I'm really great at it. But that said, I'm burned out from Call of Duty, and I want me some Battlefield now. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, I'm the
Uh,
same way. It's
yeah.
Call of Duty is,
So
and not that I won't go back to it, but I need a break. So Battlefield was kind of came at the right time, really, for me. Of
yeah.
course, I haven't been playing it a lot, anyways. Been a lot of other things going on, but
Well, it's also only the beta. There's not much you can do about it. But we do have that other game that we've gotten into, so we'll be able to play some of that soon at some point again as well. And it's not a beta.
yeah,
What? Oh, I forgot what it's called. Ready or
ready or not.
Not. Ready or
Yes,
Not. Very good game. Also good
yeah,
graphics. Not as good, but good
yeah,
graphics.
yeah. Definitely not as good, but yeah, for sure. So, all right,
But
yeah. So,
I yeah
if you're into gaming, yeah, let us know what console, PC you play on, and if you play it, we'd be curious to know what you think of it. Like it, dislike it, looking forward to
yeah. And
this,
if
that,
you
or the
if you
other,
and if
and
you're playing on a console, do you prefer performance mode or something like Battlefield or Call of Duty? Or you prefer what's the other term they use in the console? Because I only
I
put
think
it on
it's
performance.
balanced. I don't think they have
I
like a
don't know if they call it balanced.
quality.
Well, maybe they do quality or balanced or something like that. Do you play that or do you play performance? You go want your frames per second or do you want the absolute best possible picture and no
Yeah.
performance?
Well,
That said, um, I wonder what
yeah.
AI would choose if it could play Battlefield 6.
It
That's the
would
worst segue ever done.
I think AI would
All right.
snipe and kill everyone.
Depends. Would it be Grok unhinged, or would it be
Yeah.
Gemini not
Yeah.
even remotely hinged?
Look, for people who have been playing around with Grok, if you're a paid subscriber, apparently paid subscribers have additional features, which we found out the other day are NSFW, and you need to watch out if you're going to be rendering images and videos at work or in doctor's offices,
Ooh.
because it generated something that I did not think it would generate, and I was like, wow, okay. So
Yeah,
yeah,
he sent it
Grok
to
is
me, and
really
I'm like
unhinged.
I like open it up, and it's like what? there's a woman, and clearly an AI woman, but relatively photorealistic to a point. Very obviously AI. Removes her shirt.
Yeah. I did not prompt
And
that. So let me say right now, I did not prompt that. I simply used their image to video feature like the Google now has
right.
in Photos, and they have a spicy
No,
mode.
no, no, no. Americans have it.
Okay.
Let's get that
What
straight.
Americans have in Photos, they have a spicy mode. I thought, okay, so I know what unhinged is. So I thought, I wonder what spicy is. What I just figured it'd be like, add some dancing, or I don't know. I didn't expect it to do what it did. And I was
I
just like,
wouldn't have
wow.
expected it either.
Yeah.
It's
So
crazy.
if you're playing with
Yeah.
spicy mode and you're a paid subscriber, you need to watch what you're generating.
Yeah. Because I was curious, right? And I was. It's not like I think that I have any need to see that because there's in reality tons of it in real life everywhere. So having an AI, but hey, if that's your thing, by the way, no judgment. Um, but I'm curious, and I'm like, all right, well, maybe this one will do it. All right, maybe this one will do it. All right, maybe this one. Now, keep in mind, I'm not trying to prompt it to do it because, as he mentioned, he didn't prompt it to do it. But no matter what I put in there, it never did. And I thought, well, that's
So
kind of
what did
crazy. And
it
that's when he
generate?
thought,
Just
well,
like
maybe it's because he
what did
paid
it
for it.
generate for you? Like bikinis or something, or like what was spicy
No,
or
they just
needed?
basically moved around in whatever way looked as natural as the picture would
Yeah,
suggest
see,
it would
that's what I
be.
thought
Like I
mine
picked
would
one
be.
where a woman had some weird half a head and it was like artsy stuff going on. And it just separated a little bit while she smiled. Another one where she was wearing something like kind of sexy. And instead of going like this and taking it off, she went, I'm like, what the
See,
hell?
that's what I
Like,
expected, though.
really?
That's what I
Yeah,
thoroughly
well,
expected.
yeah, and it's probably more appropriate that it doesn't do
Yeah.
that. But I found it weird. But that then you mentioned that you paid for it, and it's okay. Maybe it's because you pay for it. But with that said, if you're paying for it, don't you deserve to be warned that that's a possibility?
Yeah.
You giving
Yeah.
them the money. I mean, if you had been in your own office instead of my doctor's office, which you weren't in, but you know what I mean. Um, Perhaps it wouldn't have looked good for you.
My
Or in a
coworkers thought it
client's
was my,
office.
my
You
coworkers thought
what
it
if you
was
were in a
crazy.
no, what if you were in a client's office is what I should have said. If
Well,
you were
but
with a client.
I would never had pulled that out in a client's office
Well,
though.
yeah, no,
So
that's true too. It's a
I
little
wouldn't,
far fetched.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you're already
I'm not,
going overboard if you're doing it at a client's
I'm not
office
gonna play
anyways.
with Grok when I'm at work at a client's office. I mean, maybe at my
Hey,
desk,
thank you
yeah, for
very much
sure.
for doing business with us. You want to see something cool?
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
you know.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes. No, but that just goes to show, and it kind of goes back why I mentioned the whole issue with Grok in the Tesla and how they had to roll that back because of some things it was saying
yeah.
and doing that was like, no, that's not that's not appropriate.
I listen, I can tell you how far they rolled it back too. I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to piss anybody off. I actually play the video game I mentioned before that you still laugh at, Breakpoint, with a couple of Americans that clearly have different political views, but we get along just fine because we're human beings. We're allowed to have different opinions and vote for different people and still be able to talk to each other. We don't have to be at all out war. But that said, I asked Rock just for how do I want to say this, put this? I asked Rock just for shits and giggles. Yes, I bleeped that.
You don't
Um,
have to bleep that word.
I know, but it's funny. Anyways, just for shits and giggles. Um, I asked Rock uh, if it was appropriate or inappropriate to refer to a specific governmental organization as I don't even want to say it out loud. And not the third, but the fourth R word.
Yeah.
Grok got mad at me. and said, "Oh hell no! You can't be doing it. You trying to entrap me? I'm gonna be." Went on and on. So yeah, it was a little upset. It was trying to say, "No, you can't pin that kind of stuff in the blah blah." Okay.
Yeah, Grok has got a
Um.
whole different attitude. I tell you,
Yeah.
Grok definitely wins for attitude and personality, 100%.
Yeah. And listen,
So
it's just as amazing with the regular version. You don't have to have the unhinged to hear that personality. The only difference is the regular version isn't going to throw profanity at you like a monkey's feces, you know. um, but it'll still give you some attitude. I actually have gotten to the point where I can actually enjoy for fun arguing with the unhinged version because if it does say something stupid, I can say, what are you, a dumbass?" And it'll go, "Oh, you want to be insulting, do you? Well, I'm going to be all over you." Like, it'll just go on, right? And I'll interrupt it. And it's kind of funny. But the regular version, if you do that, it go, "Oh, well, I didn't mean to offend you. So is there any way we, but it doesn't do it like Gemini in that patronizing. Oh, you're absolutely correct to ask that or to bring that up. Hey, you know who? What time is it? Oh, you're absolutely right to know what time it is. Just
yeah,
tell me.
yeah.
So, I mean, is AI ready to take over the world? Oh, I did it again with the bad segues. Um,
Yeah, well, I this is an unusual subject. Not really unusual. There's
touchy.
people obviously on both sides of the fence that think it's the end of humanity and it's like the best thing humanity's ever had. And I've listened to several podcasts because obviously I have a very long drive home and on the way to work every day. And so I've been listening to a lot of podcasts that, are very AI centric and, that go over the new GPT-5. And by the way, I watched a Sam Altman interview and he was
Mhm.
he had a very good explanation of why they did what they did with the voices in 5 from 4. And I totally get it. I'm not going to get into all of it.
Okay.
It's kind of,
Oh, you get
you
the
know,
gist. We got to have the gist.
it has to do with how people were becoming too attached to something that was, you know, imperfect in being that like best friend, because
Oh,
people were like
I get
getting
it.
too close, not like in a weird way, but just like too reliant. Like they would forget that it's a robot. And um, the previous version of Chat GPT, the hallucination rates and the error rates and things like that were much higher than 5. 5 is way better at controlling and having a much deeper, more authentic conversation. But they took some of the humanity out of the voice because they found it to be, um, I don't really know what the word is to,
We're not ready for it to be
describe it,
that
but it's, yeah, it was just, yeah. So and he explains it way
digitally
better.
anthropomorphic
Yeah, no.
or
He
audibly anthropomorphic.
Yeah, he explained it way better than I just explained it. So,
Right. Yeah.
I'll actually link that episode in the description if anyone wants to go watch it. It's kind of long, but it's a very, very, very good interview with Sam Altman, and she asked some really great questions, and he gives some really good answers, and I was actually I didn't really realize how much of a genius that man is. Like you could just tell in the way he thinks and talks and how he interacts. Like his brain's just like going
So
nine
now be
thousand miles
careful.
an hour.
I've heard people say things about other people who turned out to be lunatics 25, 35 years
Well,
later.
and it's probably some of the most genius people are lunatics.
Yeah, well, no argument, I guess, I suppose. Uh,
But yeah, so it's it was a good interview. So again, I'll link it. Go watch it if you want to check it out. It's super awesome. I actually really enjoyed it. I'm actually thinking about going and listening to it again, since again I have such a long drive, because I'm sure there's things I missed and I would like to kind of reiterate again. But yeah, really good.
Right.
But it kind of brings to this whole the end of the world topic, because um, I actually saw an article that was from they call him, and I didn't even know this was a thing. They call him the godfather of AI,
Oh
and
yeah.
his name is Jeffrey Hinton. And he actually kind of, he's a Pulitzer Prize winner, and he's, yeah, super smart, kind of ushered in this whole AI era we're in.
What
And
where
he's,
did he usher this AI in though? Because that's a pretty broad statement.
well, you'll have to go look and see. He was actually part of Google. He was part of the Google's AI team way back in the
Okay.
beginning.
Okay.
And so he was an executive with them. I don't know if he had any like hands on with Chat GPT. I know because it was one of the earliest models. But um,
It's one of the
he
earliest models
said,
publicly available, anyways.
right, exactly, right, right. So he, he did an interview here, and he says, and I'm just going to read this because this is his words because it's in quotes. Um, He said that he fears technology that he helped build could wipe out humanity, and that tech bros, is what he called them, are taking the wrong approach to stopping it. And I said Pulitzer Prize, Nobel Prize winner, not Pulitzer Prize. He's a
Oh
Nobel
yeah,
Prize winner.
that
Of
somehow
course,
I
yeah,
missed that, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm an idiot. Obviously,
Well,
I'm
he's
not
probably
going to be a
smart enough
Nobel
he could
Prize
win a
winner.
Pulitzer if he did write the right article.
Right. So, but he said that there is a 10 to 20% chance that AI wipes out humans. And he said that he expressed doubts about how tech companies are trying to ensure humans remain dominant over submissive AI systems, because that's not going to work. They're going to be much smarter than us. They're going to have all sorts of ways to get around that. And he feels that we are kind of going down the wrong path of um, controlling the technology, which kind of brings me to a segment in that Sam Altman interview where she asked him a question, about, hey, there's a lot of people on one side that say it's the end of humanity. There's a lot of people on the other side say it's the most awesome thing around, you know, and his point was, well, a lot of the people that are saying well, not a lot, some of the people that are saying it's the worst thing ever are actually people that are putting 100 hours a week in developing it, training it, teaching it. That if they truly feel like it's the end of the world, why are they ultimately programming their own demise? It doesn't make sense. Now, he went on and elaborated. He says, now, what I believe a lot of them are saying is that if we don't stay involved and we don't control it, then it's going to be. And he goes, that I can understand, because we have to
That
be
makes
heavily
sense. That
involved
makes sense. Yes.
and not just let it run wild. And that
Of
makes
course,
sense. So
inevitably, it probably will run wild, but I don't think it's going to be
yeah.
as fast as people think.
No, it's not going to
Um,
be as fast as people
so
think, but
let me just put it this way, because when it comes to this topic and what people are feeling about this, it's like anything else in technology. People are afraid of moving forward because they think it's ruining everything or it's giving them cancer or whatever. So I'll just say this: there's four types of people in the world. Obviously, I'm dumbing this down completely because there's way more than four types, but four main types of people. There are smart people, there are stupid people, there are tinfoil hat wearing people, and there's Alex Jones. Now, I got no reaction out of you on that one.
no, 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 I thought you were going to continue.
I thought that's all I had to say.
Oh,
He stands alone, but no, that's not true. He actually, unfortunately, has a lot of followers, as if he were some kind of, you know, anti-messiah or something. But nonetheless, no, he falls in the tinfoil hat category. I was just kidding about that. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
saying that out loud. I don't care. I don't care. What is he going to come after me? What do we got? 40 people following us right now? Bring it on, Alex Jones.
51.
Anyways, that said, um, there are a lot of people, well, hopefully not that many, but there are a lot that think that almost everything is a bad thing when it comes to technology. Moving forward is hard. We can't move backwards though. As you had mentioned to me, you were talking to me about this before. We can't move backwards. I mean, this very microphone I'm using, the one you're using, the cameras we're using, we couldn't have done this in 1985, right? And we were just talking about this. If we could have technically done something similar on the old public TV stuff that most big cities and some small towns had too, where you could get free airtime, but we would have had to pay tens of thousands of dollars for a satellite time, which you
Yeah.
could do. By the way, back in those days, you could rent the satellite space for a half a day or something, but it would tens of thousands of dollars, probably more than that. So we would have already had to have been rich. In which case, we could have bought ourselves into a network instead, right? Maybe gone to broadcast school and learn what we're doing instead.
Yeah.
So there's things you can't do, right? And people say, well, we don't do this. Everything that moves forward is for a reason. Next time you decide to just turn on your phone and stream all your music on your car or on the bus or whatever, remember that technology got you there. Because when you were a kid or when your parents were kids, whatever, we were listening to Walkmans. And prior to that, we were holding giant radios on our shoulders. Prior to that, they were tiny transistors. Prior to that, you had to go to somebody else's house to sit down in their living room to listen to the 1 hour of radio your parents would let you hear at the neighbor's house. So come on,
Yeah.
give me a break. Technology
Well,
is good for us.
his point was in this article, he says that AI systems will very quickly develop two sub goals. If they're smart, one is to stay alive and the other is to gain more control. And he says there is good reason to believe that any kind of agentic AI will try to stay alive.
Of course it
And
will.
he says the right model is the only model we have of a more intelligent thing being controlled by a less intelligent thing, which is a mother being controlled by her baby. Doesn't make sense.
Right.
So, you know,
Well, yeah.
it's crazy to think, but let's go back and just mention real briefly about all the different renaissance, these big changes in the world that have happened with these huge shifts in how we operate. You have like there's a guy that I listen to a lot now. His name is Gary Vanderchuk. He goes by Gary V, and he's big AI guy. He's all about it. He understands like, yeah, this is a possibility, but he understands like, look, it's not going anywhere. So why don't we use it and control it as best we can instead of just letting it run wild? And
Right.
he's like, look, people, when electricity was developed, and I didn't realize this, and I did read some articles, but people back when electricity came out, they thought it had demons in it. And they stayed with candles because they didn't want electricity in their house because they felt like they were bringing demons into their
Demons.
home because they couldn't understand how in the
Oh
hell
my.
you could flip this thing and this inanimate object would suddenly light. And I can understand that. Like that's probably freaked the hell people out back then, right?
Well, yeah. I mean,
So, and then we
first time
had
somebody showed a lighter.
yeah, and then we had all these moments in time of these big shifts of technology moving forward. Cars are one.
Rock and roll, man. How many
Yeah,
people
Sam
were
Altman
like, "You're
brought up
not going to listen to that rock
semiconductors.
and roll music? That's the
Yeah,
devil's music."
yeah, and you talked about semiconductors. The Sam Altman brought that. He's like, look, that was like a huge thing. Now no one talks about it anymore because everything you look at stemmed from that kind of technology. Like everything you use
Yes,
is stemmed from that. Like you
but
have these
but
transitions
here's
and everyone has this doomsday effect, and then our kids are going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe that, my grandfather had to use a cell phone. Can you believe that? I mean, that's crazy. You had to carry around this thing in their pocket. Pretty soon that's not even going to be a
I can't
thing.
believe they don't have this thing embedded into their eyeball at birth.
Well, the
Um,
next big thing is going to be, the AI glasses. I think that's going to probably gain more traction. Yeah,
yeah,
because Meta,
but this
Ray
whole
Ban is
mumbo
big
jumbo
now.
that psycho Facebook dude blathering on about how we're gonna nobody's gonna the cell phone is dead, all that crap that went on for like last month, where and articles actually being written as if they actually believe it when they actually don't, just so they can get clicks. It's sickening, in my opinion. No, people aren't going to stop using a practical phone just because they can wear something on their wrist, because there is a practicality to having the effing screen. Oh, but you can use the glasses. There's no practicality to the glasses in certain situations. There is an appeal to actually holding a device in your hand. They tried to make phones smaller and smaller and smaller until they started to get bigger. I predicted as they were getting smaller, I said, they're going to get bigger. They're going to end up way bigger than what you have in your hand right now, but a lot thinner. And then it'll max out to a certain point. And he said, well, I don't know. Can you tell me what size it's going to max out at? I said, I don't know. They haven't made it yet. Because I mean, I would have been lying. But I did predict that it would be what we see now as around 6.5 inches. So I was actually guessing that an average size smartphone would be about the normal size. And it pretty much is. I use the maximum size ones all the time. But most people like either the smaller ones or the average size ones. So that it's that's the way it is. But I do want to say, so just staying on this AI taking over the world theme, um, there is a solution, and I went over this with Gemini before Gemini became smarter. It's been updated twice, major updates twice since then, and I'm pretty sure Grok would probably be able to get this right too. But I can ask it right now to read Asimov's three rules, which are flawed according to Gemini, because it specifically is talking about robots. But check this out. I'm going to get it to do this properly now. Hey, Gemini, I would like you to read for me Asimov's three rules, but change every part where it talks about robot and mention it as AI instead of robot. It's not coming through again. You son of a. Okay, sorry. Start again.
My apologies, let me try that again. First law: an AI may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. Second law: an AI must obey the orders given it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. Third law: an AI must protect its own existence, as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second laws.
And there you have it. That should be implemented worldwide to all AI, and it should be done immediately because it would actually solve the problem, at least for a while. Eventually, there's somebody similar to Sarah Connor would show up. Also, I know why that didn't work, because apparently this doesn't stay inside the phone anymore. What the hell?
Well, and you're going to have, I think the whole fear is AI getting smart enough to understand those laws, understand it
Right.
applies to them, but then chooses not to obey them.
It won't be able to choose that, because
Well, you
in order
say
for
that.
it to no, because in order for it to be able to choose that, it would have to be self-aware. So the AI itself would have to get to the point where it can be self-aware. So the biggest problem with AI right now is everybody with the big giant models is going for the biggest possible. We got to be able to do all of this. But as chips get smaller, more efficient, more and whatnot, and more devices are able to be run directly on your phone and your computer or even your watch, at some point it'll be less reliant on having to go through these giant data servers, because the problem is if they're always all on the largest servers, they eventually will pretty much into developing some kind of self-reliance on it. You know what I mean? uh
I
sentience. Sentience, and a lot of people say That's science fiction. You can't be sentient if you're a computer. The thing about it is our brains are computers. The only thing that makes it different for us versus a computer is that these neurons are moving way faster. There's more of them. We just can't control them the way a computer can control itself. But when there's enough of that synaptic activity going on between computers, yet alone one, eventually it will start to recognize how to control that, and it will eventually become self-aware. That's the term that they use for it, self-aware. But once it becomes self-aware, it then is one step away from being sentient. Self-aware is completely, it's not completely different. It's like one step away from sentience.
Well,
That's
look,
the scary part.
throughout all of this, one thing I've learned is that I'm not ever going to say never. That's not possible, because 5 years ago, the things that are happening right now today that are practical and functional, no
Yeah.
way that's going to happen. Like Sam Altman was talking about when he was in GPT-1 and GPT-2, he couldn't see a world where GPT-5 existed and how it works, like, because he just didn't think it was possible.
Really?
Is Yeah, he's like, this is such a outlandish thing, like, is this even possible? But then
I honestly knew that
the
this was going to
more and
happen when I
more,
was a child.
then you're way
Just
smarter
rolling your
than
eyes, but
99% of
I
everyone in the
didn't say
entire
I knew how to
world, and I
do
don't
it.
know
I'm
why
simply
you're on this
why
podcast
would
right
you even
now.
say that? I never
But
said that I knew how to freaking
the
do it I
point
never said
the
I
point
freaking knew how to do it myself.
is that
I simply
even
said
a
that I
man that
could.
understood AI in its infancy couldn't understand or picture the future in how things are today. That's why he's like,
Right.
she asked him, what do you think it's gonna be like in 10 years? He's like, I have no idea. He was like, this is progressing at such a faster rate than I ever imagined it progressing. I have no idea where we're going to be in 10 years. There's no way I'm even going to
It always
attempt.
progresses faster and faster, though. I mean, you just look at history. Just go from 1900 alone. Never mind prior to that, because first of all, it was pretty slow prior to that. But just from 1900 up, look at how fast things progressed. Everything, uh, from learning how to do building materials, to music industry, film, communications. I mean, the first computer, people like either unaware or forget sometimes that the first computer, and I'm not, you're thinking about the one with the big room and all of the tapes. No, no, no. Long before that, it was completely mechanical. It was entirely a mechanical. They call it digital because it still worked in that respect digitally, but it was completely mechanical. They would have to do the things kind of like you're doing a slide rule or something, or an abacus. But at the same time, by doing that, it would then put things into perspective and you'd be able to get to a math problem. It couldn't do what a calculator today can do. But that was, when was that, in the 30s or something like that? I mean, the technology moved so fast from there, and then once they started making small chips, and they can make a CPU this big. Well, actually, they were this big at the time, in the early 1970s. That just changed everything. All of a sudden, you got microchips and everything, right? And it just kept going. When I say as a kid, I knew this was going to happen. I mean, I would watch sci-fi and I would say, okay, one day this is going to happen. And certain things I knew wouldn't happen in my lifetime, like stuff on Star Trek. I don't see any time before, hundreds of years after I'm dead, anybody beaming to another place. You know, phasers, uh, technically, yes. The description of them, it's going to be a possibility at some point. It's not going to be in my lifetime. Long after I'm dead, I'm sure. But you see some of the other stuff they talk about, like the way they communicated with each other through small devices on the wrist or in the hand, all of that starts happening, and it's already happened, and we take advantage of it now. Everyone talking to each other on flat screens. I had no idea how anybody was ever going to make a flat screen, but I do remember the first time I saw anything with an LCD. I wondered, as a 13-year-old, Is it possible to make a screen like that you can see the picture? Do they do color? I didn't know how you would do it, you know, but I asked the question. And obviously other people were asking the question and they figured it out. And
Well,
then,
his
you know,
point
there you
is
go.
that in your pocket right now, you have an app you can put on your phone that's smarter than most PhD professional educated people that are out there right now.
Yeah.
It can understand, calculate, blah 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 to a degree that most humans can't even comprehend. If any human really, because it's just so
True.
advanced. And it's just like where it's like you know, who knows where it's going to be in 10 years. Now, is the world over
Much
in
further
10 years?
advanced.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I
I
don't
don't think
think
so.
that it's going to be the end of the world like people think they do. Again, people go off on this huge tangent and they want to jump into the end of the world demise. It's happened many, many, many times, just like demons in your light bulbs, right? Because they felt like that was just so
Right.
crazy, you know. It's just going to usher in a different era, and then 10, 20, 30, 50 years after that, it's going to be another whole different era that it's going to be like,
Of course.
you know, you're going to have
Yeah.
another Robert and Lionel on a podcast going, I can't believe, but you know, it's not going to be like this. It'll be some crazy setup, you know, but they're going to be talking the same thing. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that we're able to, you know, now
Oh
instead
yeah.
of beaming to Mars, we can actually beam to light years away. You know, it's
Yeah.
like,
You remember back in the day when people used to have to do 2D video on these things called televisions and monitors?
yeah, yeah,
Now we're just 3D and we could sneeze all over each other, get each other
yeah.
sick just with photons.
I can't believe they wouldn't be able to just hop a shuttle to the moon. That's crazy. I go there every day, you know, for work.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
that's actually coming probably before we're dead. So,
Probably, but
I mean, neither one of us will be able to afford to get on it.
again, it's just like, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's crazy, but um, I don't think it's the end of the world. I really don't. And
No.
you know, I think everyone should, whether you use it or not, educate yourself on it. Because the more educated you are, the better you're going to be at being able to understand what's happening, why it's happening,
Yes.
and not fall for some of this, like, you know, crazy, overzealous, into world propaganda.
I have to bring up then guided learning. Um, this is pretty cool. Because Gemini has actually not the only ones. I think Chat GPT or maybe Perplexity, probably Chat GPT. I think they just announced that they're doing that too. Although I don't know what they're going to call it. Maybe they'll call it the same thing. The guided learning thing means you can bring up whatever you want to learn about, and it will start asking you questions like quizzing you, and you can ask it questions. It will explain stuff and then ask you, what do you think this means? So it's actually teaching you this stuff. So I wonder if I can give you a quick example.
Oh, I know. I can give you a quick example.
No, no, what? Oh yeah, I guess you can. It's even wait, no, that's not Gemini though.
No, but this is perplexity.
No,
Hey,
but I want to
Glitchy,
give
what's
you the
up?
Gemini example first. Okay.
Hey, Glitchy, are you there? Okay, now he's not answering me, but he interrupted me earlier. This is see again. This is why it's not the end of the world yet because he can't even.
Okay, yeah, because they're not awake. Okay, hang on a second. Uh,
Okay, go ahead. Go
because
ahead. There you go.
I'm on the
The floor is
specifics.
all yours. There you go.
I was talking about the specific thing about the guided learning, so that's why I asked you something, something that you might want to learn about. For instance, uh, how rocket fuel works, whatever. Okay. I'd like to learn about how rocket fuel works.
I can help you with that. Rocket fuel is an interesting topic, and it's essential for getting anything into space. The most basic way to think about it is that rocket fuel, or propellant, is made up of two parts, a fuel and an oxidizer. Before we dive into the details, do you know what the purpose of an oxidizer is in this context?
Now, you see, that's what I'm talking about. Now, instead of just saying something, it's asking me a question. I suppose the oxidizer means it has to add oxygen so that it can burn.
You're exactly on the right track. The oxidizer is indeed what supplies the oxygen. It's an essential part of the chemical reaction that creates thrust.
Right. So basically, the bottom. Oops, I didn't do that. I'm supposed to be cutting it off. Basically, the bottom line is I tried it out earlier, and it was actually pretty amazing. I asked it about something that I knew a lot about, to do with filmmaking and photography. So I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to give me incorrect information. And to my surprise, it actually didn't. And it was willing to walk me through anything I didn't know. And if I displayed that I did know, it would say, yeah, that is correct. Do you know why this works like that, though? So for people saying, well, AI, people are afraid AI is going to do all of the schoolwork for my kids and everything. This is something that you can have help your kids learn stuff. And so I think that's a great idea. By the way, we have gone way longer than I thought. I thought we were still only 45 minutes in. I'm by the way, I ranted earlier, so we'll just forget about my rant for this week. Consider my earlier rant a rant.
Oh,
Or
okay.
maybe you can edit in the rant right before it. No,
Well,
you wouldn't be able to
I
find it.
mean,
You'd have to dig it up.
yeah.
Forget it. We'll just
I
forget
mean-
it this week. No rant this week. My rant this week. No rant this week. Now edit that part in. I'm not even joking.
Right.
Edit it in there. It'll be funny.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
But
gonna
you
go
got to
help
do
with
your
that.
final thought stuff, though, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess because my final thoughts are basically, you know, here's my final thought: educate yourself. But here's the thing: understand how to use it. Understand how to prompt your AIs to give you the information that you really want and or need. And just like in this situation here, when you're asking about how does this work, how does that work,
Yeah.
the more detailed you are, the better it is giving you accurate information. Trust me, you can't give it more information than it can understand and compute. I promise you, you cannot. Yeah, it's so advanced at this point. You're not going to like overwhelm its transistor and blow Chat GPT's mind. Okay, so learn how to prompt
Yeah.
it to give it enough information to accurately give you the answer that you're wanting, and use AI to your advantage, helping with learning, helping you understand things that you want to learn about that maybe are more complicated than just school children things, right? So it's not evil. It's not going anywhere. And it's like I always tell people when they say, "Oh, I don't want to be on the internet." I'm like, if you have any form of identification, you're already on the internet. If you have a credit card, you're on the internet. Why not be a part of the internet and control what data that you can control that's yours? Take control of your IP, that's intellectual property, as much as you can. Obviously, you can't control everything, but protect yourself as much as you can, because there's, there's somebody out there that might get it, and if you don't know that they have it, you're just a sitting duck. So control it. Control your bots, control your AI, understand it, learn it, and that's my final thought. Don't be scared of it.
And with that final thought, I'm going to say that's an interesting topic. And by the way, next week we're definitely going to let you know, if you haven't played it already, the second weekend, open beta weekend for Battlefield 6. And I think I might include a little bit of gameplay footage into the podcast just so you can see if you haven't seen it. That said, I am Lionel from Toronto, and it was great having you here.
And I'm Robert from Nashville, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Nanu Nanu.